What is going on in Los Angeles? Actually, a lot, right? This is the city that I drive in. This is the city where I enjoy sharing the knowledge that I have accumulated over the years with newbies. This is a city where you can still make a ton of money, but Uber and Lyft fares are soaring and soaring in LA, and the spike is a long time coming. The problem is, even with this massive spike, the ride is paying so much. The drivers, LA drivers, know they are getting a fraction of those additional spiked charges that the riders in LA are paying. Drivers are not receiving the cut. So if you've taken an Uber or Lyft recently, you've likely noticed that it's neither as cheap nor as convenient as it once was. Wait times for a ride have shot up 20, 30, 40 minutes, and fares have followed suit. Ladies and gentlemen, I know LA drivers, I talk to them daily. They're not stupid, right? We dialed into the street, we know what's going on, and we are sick and tired of their BS, right? They yanked the multiplier away, they yanked the destination away, and drivers have said, nope, enough is enough. We're not driving for you. So these people are waiting 20, 30, 40 minutes. Now, later on in the video, any LA driver, I am more than willing to share my formula with you. So you will always be above this nonsense. Really never have to rely on these companies, because I'm going to show you a way how you set yourself up and work smart in LA. It is a formula that I have taught literally hundreds, if not thousands, of LA drivers, right? It's not unusual to find that a trip from downtown LA to LAX, which should normally range between 40 and 50 bucks, that's realistic, is suddenly $120 to $160. But why? Now listen, I love the fact that Uber and Lyft are so stupid and are literally raping these riders, right? Because my business on the private client side is through the roof. You know what people tell me? We are sick and tired of Uber manipulating us, extracting money, raping us with their fares. We will happily come into your private camp. Amen. All day long. They keep coming, one after one. I'm smiling all the way to the bank. To hear Uber and Lyft describe it, we're in the midst of a perfect storm. More people are using rideshare services than ever before, yet there's a dearth of drivers. And there is truth to that. Demand levels are up anywhere from 60 to 70%, explains Daniel Eves, Managing Director of Equity Research at Wedbush Securities. While there's a shortage in drivers, somewhere between 40 to 50% below peak levels. I would say even higher. In 2020, many drivers stopped driving because they couldn't count on getting enough trips to make it worth their time. Uber said in an April statement, in 2021, there are more riders requesting trips than there are drivers available to give them, making it a great time to be a driver. But drivers don't fully agree with this representation. What they see are ongoing labor issues that have made this perfect storm inevitable. According to Ben Valdez, who's driven for Uber and Lyft for 6 years, drivers have been steadily leaving the platforms as Uber and Lyft have consistently slashed pay rates. Where drivers were once making 60 to 70 cents a mile with Uber at LAX, they dropped it from 60 to 32 cents, Valdez says. And for San Diego, they dropped it to 34 cents a mile. The IRS estimates that the cost is 57 cents per mile for drivers. So we're getting paid below whatever the IRS says operating costs should be. Valdez, who is also a member of Rideshare Drivers United, great organization, explains that rates have gotten so bad that most drivers quit after a short time driving. I'm not surprised. Turnover is anywhere between 3 months to about 6 months for people to realize, hey, this is not worth it. Valdez continues, that contributes to a constant influx of new drivers. Uber put out these incentives for new drivers to come in, and they'll say, we'll guarantee that you'll make X amount of money. Those guarantees are bait and switch campaigns, and my video went viral on that, explaining it says warning Uber drivers, new drivers, right? I explain exactly that. It's a major overhang on the business models because it's putting pressure on drivers and it's putting pressure on the business models of these companies. Eves tells Los Angeles, he notes that Uber and Lyft will have to become more aggressive with incentives to get drivers back on the road, but will also need to increase a driver's cut of each ride. The driver shortage was underestimated and it's taken some 20% of demand off the table. Look, investors are worried, and it's been reflected in the stock of both Uber and Lyft. Look how crappy their stock is doing today, $49. At a time where demand is coming back, the pricing and the driver shortage are creating a black cloud over these stocks. But surely, with the fares jumping some 50 to 60%, drivers are making more too, right? No, not so fast. Drivers might be making a little bit more right now because of the incentives and dynamic pricing. But once that goes away, it's going back to that normal rate, explains Chris Garris, contributor to the Rideshare Guy. And he's right. A $20 ride might now be $30, but most of that additional fare is going straight to the rideshare platforms, not to the drivers. He's 100% right. Unfortunately, they're squeezing drivers as much as they can, and drivers should not put up with it. Bye-bye, adios, auf Wiedersehen. To keep up with all the rate slashes and other changes, Valdez says he switched most of his driving over to Uber Eats so that he can see his destinations and keep his mileage low. He explains that when California AB5 legislation was enacted in January 2020, it forced Uber and Lyft to make certain concession to the state's drivers, like setting their own rates per mile, which drivers call multipliers, and enabling drivers to see where a queued-up passenger was heading. Seeing destinations allowed drivers to strategize rides and maximize profits. For example, if you have a ride from downtown to Palmdale at 3 a.m., you might make a sizable fare, but you're stuck in Palmdale with no rides back, which eats into your profits as you make your way back to busy areas in LA empty-handed. 100% correct. Doing a series of quick trips around downtown or Hollywood with a little lag time in between, on the other hand, is much more profitable. However, with the passage of Proposition in 22, Uber and Lyft rewrote the rules in their favor, took away the multiplier, took away the destination. Uber and Lyft duped the California voters, Valdez says. They made them believe that if Proposition 22 didn't pass, prices were going to go up instead of actually starting to level out like they were. The irony, he adds, is that drivers began dropping out of Lyft and Uber following the passage of Proposition 22 because they decided it wasn't worth it anymore. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're in California, that is 100% correct. It is not worth it anymore. Uber did not respond to multiple requests for comment on these issues, while Lyft stated in an email, we're working to meet demand, including providing incentives to drivers who are busy and earning more than they were even before the pandemic. Ultimately, some drivers will return to the platforms once extended unemployment benefits end in September and people scramble to pay their bills. I do think the unemployment dynamic will send 60 to 70% of drivers back to the road. Garris expects bump in drivers coming back once unemployment ends. In other words, don't expect Uber and Lyft prices or wait times to drop until at least the end of summer. And even then, who knows by how much and for how long. Will all this turn Angelinos to the public transit in their backyards? I say no. They go out and get their own cars. It's a big concern for CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, as it should be. Now, I do want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Curial. Anything Delivered, go download the app, my friends. There it is. Anything Delivered, Curial. The links are beneath the video. If you are a Los Angelino driver or rider, please feel free to comment. If you want to learn my secret formula, www.ridesharedrivingschool.com. And remember, July the 4th, we strike every day for 60 days from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in LA, all California cities, all US cities, all international cities, all gig companies, period, right? We start on July the 4th to get our independence back. Please strike with us. Switch off your apps. Even the riders, we ask you to switch off your apps between 6 and 9 until these gig companies listen. Have a great day. Drive safe.